A Creative New Zealand budget has three main sections: the expenses, the revenue, and the Creative New Zealand request. Let's break down each of these. The first section of the budget is the expenses. In the expenses section, you should include all of the costs to the project, not just the ones that you're asking Creative New Zealand to cover. This is important because it helps us understand the full scope of your project and see whether it looks realistic. Include the cost of wages, stipends, or fees for the artists involved. Refer to our remuneration guidance on our funding guidelines website. Wages should be no less than $25 an hour. If you can, arrange written quotes for any large costs. This helps you and our assessors know the budget is accurate. Otherwise, if you're providing estimated costs, provide a clear description that we can easily understand. Don't be afraid to provide extra notes about the budget to help explain how you've calculated your figures. If you get funding, remember to keep track of all your expenses, as eventually you'll have to report on what was spent. This is another great reason to create a budget in Excel outside of the portal, so it can continue to be a living document across the full period of your project and a reference for future projects. The second section of the budget is the revenue section. Revenue just means all of the money and support coming into the project. Showing all the income you have for a project allows us to understand if the project is going to be viable. It means you can show you have enough income to cover the expenses. It can also show that other people care about the project and are willing to support it. The CNZ grant is part of the revenue, but there may also be earned revenue, such as ticket sales or the sale of artwork, other cash support such as grants or sponsorship, and in-kind revenue. In-kind means something that's being provided to your project at no cost or at a heavily discounted rate. The monetary cost is recorded in the expenses section of the budget, and an equivalent amount is listed as in-kind in the revenue section. The final section is the Creative New Zealand request. Alongside the list of expenses, there's a column where you show us which of the expenses you're asking Creative New Zealand to cover and to what level. In our budget templates, this column is headed CNZ Request. For the most part, we're looking to fund specific budget lines within your budget, rather than making a general contribution, so you need to identify them. For example, you might be asking Creative New Zealand to cover artist wages and have ways to cover other costs in the budget, so you only put the artist wages in the CNZ Request column. The individual budget lines in the CNZ Request column should add up to the total grant amount that you're requesting from Creative New Zealand.